I sat behind a pillar at my own sister's wedding. Mom pretended I wasn't family. Then a stranger sat beside me and said, "Just pretend you're my girlfriend." When my mother and sister found out who he was, their smiles faded. My name is Alara and I'm 27 years old. I work as a seamstress in a small studio in Seattle. It's not a glamorous job according to my family, but I'm good at it and I make decent money. I create custom pieces for clients, alter wedding dresses, repair vintage clothing. The work is steady and satisfying. I have an older sister named Isabel. She's 31 and works in marketing for a tech company. My mother, Helena, has always been clear about which daughter she's proud of. Isabel has the prestigious job, the expensive apartment, the right kind of friends. I have thread under my fingernails, and a job my mother considers beneath our family. Never mind that I earn good money. Never mind that I sew clothes for both my mother and Isabel for free, saving them thousands of dollars. It doesn't matter to them. A seamstress isn't respectable enough, no matter how successful. 4 months ago, I received an invitation to Isabel's wedding. She was marrying Julian, the regional director of a sports nutrition company. The invitation was formal, expensive cardstock with gold lettering. My name was printed alone. No +1. I noticed Isabel had chosen 5 bridesmaids. Her college friends, her work friends, and even our cousin Chloe, who Isabel barely talked to, but not me. The wedding was scheduled at a posh country club outside the city. I arrived 2 hours early, thinking maybe Isabel would need help. Maybe she'd want me there during the preparations. Maybe I was wrong about feeling excluded. I found her in the bridal suite surrounded by her bridesmaids. They were all wearing matching robes, drinking champagne, laughing. I knocked on the door. "Hey," I said. "I'm here if you need anything." Isabel barely looked at me. "You need to find your seat. We're busy." One of the bridesmaids giggled. I left and went to find my assigned seat in the ceremony space. The venue was beautiful. White chairs arranged in rows, flowers everywhere. A string quartet warming up. I found the seating chart and searched for my name. When I found it, I thought there must be a mistake. Last row behind a decorative column. I'd be able to see maybe a quarter of the ceremony from that angle. I walked to the front where my mother, Helena, was directing the florist about last-minute adjustments. "Mom, I think there's a problem with my seat assignment." She turned to me with that expression she gets when I'm inconveniencing her. "What problem?" "I'm in the last row behind a column. I won't be able to see anything." "That's where you're assigned. Go back to your seat and don't make a scene." I went back to the last row and sat down behind the column. I felt like I'd been slapped. About 20 minutes before the ceremony started, a man sat down next to me. He was in his early 30s wearing a nice suit, and he looked slightly confused about where he was. "This is a terrible seat, isn't it?" he said. I looked at him. "Yeah, it is. I'm Marcus. I'm here as a +1 for my friend Matthew. He got sick last minute, but he knew the groom from college and asked me to come anyway. I'm Alara. Nice to meet you." "So, friend of the bride or groom?" "I'm the bride's sister." He stared at me. "And you're sitting here in the last row behind a column." I shrugged. Family dynamics are complicated. He studied my face for a moment. "I think I understand." The ceremony started. I could barely see anything. My mother sat in the front row next to our father, Richard, and Isabel's new in-laws. She never turned around to look for me. Not once. After the ceremony, everyone moved to the cocktail hour. Marcus found me at the bar. "Want to stick together?" he asked as fellow sufferers. I smiled. "Sure." We spent the cocktail hour talking. He was easy to talk to, funny, and he didn't ask uncomfortable questions about my family. We talked about work, about Seattle, about nothing in particular. It was nice. When dinner was announced, I went to find my table assignment. My card was at a table in the far corner, practically in the hallway. I stood there holding it, feeling that familiar sting of being dismissed. Marcus appeared next to me. "No way. Come on." He took both our cards and walked to a table much closer to the main table. He sat me down and introduced me to everyone there as his girlfriend. The table was full of Julian's colleagues from the sports nutrition industry. There was Eleanor, a 40-year-old woman who turned out to be the owner of the company where Julian worked. She was also Julian's cousin. So you're Marcus's girlfriend? Eleanor asked me. Yes, I said, going along with it. And how do you know the bride and groom? Isabel is my sister. Eleanor looked surprised. Your sister? Isabel never mentioned she had a sister. We had several meetings to plan this wedding and she never brought you up. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just smiled and changed the subject. During dinner there were speeches. Isabel's maid of honor talked about their friendship. Julian's best man told embarrassing stories. Then my father stood up and talked about how proud he was of Isabel, how she'd always been exceptional. My mother followed, talking about shopping trips with Isabel, about cake tastings, about all the time they'd spent together planning this perfect day. Neither of them mentioned me. Not once. It was like I didn't exist. Nobody invited me to give a speech. I didn't ask. After the speeches, my mother came over to our table. She looked annoyed. Alara, why aren't you at your assigned table? Before I could answer, Marcus stood up and extended his hand. Hello, I'm Marcus. I'm dating your daughter. My mother took his hand automatically, looking confused. Marcus pulled out a business card and handed it to her. I wanted to say how wonderful it is that you have such amazing daughters, both of them. He emphasized the word both. My mother glanced at the card and her eyes widened slightly. It said he was the financial director of a pharmaceutical company. Oh, she said. Well, yes, both daughters. Isabel and Julian appeared then, probably wondering why my mother was at this table. Isabel looked at me sitting next to Marcus, clearly confused. I didn't know you were dating anyone, Isabel said. I just shrugged and smiled a little. They moved on to greet other tables and I could see them whispering to each other, glancing back at us. The rest of the reception passed in a blur. Marcus stayed by my side the whole time. We danced. We talked with the people at our table. We avoided my family. Eleanor seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me, asking about my work as a seamstress. She said she might need someone to alter some pieces in her wardrobe and asked for my card. When the reception finally ended, Marcus walked me to my hotel room. I was staying at the same hotel as most of the out-of-town guests. We stopped outside my door. Thank you, I said. You basically saved my evening. I didn't do much, he said. Just gave you better seating. He smiled. Can I have your phone number? I'd like to stay in touch. I gave him my number. He typed it into his phone and then said good night. I went into my room and sat on the bed trying to process everything that had happened. The next morning my phone rang while I was packing. It was Marcus. Good morning, he said. Have you had breakfast yet? No, I was about to check out. Have breakfast with me first. There's a restaurant in the hotel. My treat. I agreed and met him downstairs 20 minutes later. We sat by the window overlooking the hotel gardens. The food was good and the conversation was even better. We talked about books, about travel, about our families. He told me about growing up in Portland, about his two brothers, about his parents who still lived in the house where he grew up. Your family seems nice, I said. They are. What about yours? I hesitated. Complicated. I noticed that yesterday. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. It's just always been like this. Isabel is the golden child and I'm the disappointment. I chose the wrong career apparently. Marcus leaned back in his chair. That's their loss. We talked for another hour. Then, as we were finishing our coffee, Marcus said something that surprised me. I have a proposal for you. Let's keep dating for real this time, not just pretend. I looked at him trying to figure out if he was serious. We barely know each other. That's what dating is for. Getting to know each other. I thought about it. He seemed genuine. He was interesting and funny and kind. And honestly, I'd had a better time with him at that wedding than I'd had with anyone in months. Okay, I said. Let's try it. Over the next few weeks we talked almost every day. Phone calls, text messages, video chats. He lived in Seattle too, so we met for dinner twice a week. We went to movies, to art galleries, to coffee shops. It was easy being with him. He listened when I talked. He made me laugh. He didn't judge me for my family situation. 2 months after Isabel's wedding, Marcus called me with an idea. How do you feel about Hawaii? I've never been, I said. Want to go? Next week I'll book everything. Do you have any big projects at the studio? I checked my schedule. I had some alterations to finish but nothing urgent. I can make it work. Then let's do it. We flew to Hawaii the following Monday. Marcus had booked us rooms at a luxury hotel right on the beach, separate rooms, which I appreciated. We spent 5 days swimming, hiking, eating amazing food and watching sunsets. I took hundreds of photos. The hotel, the beach, the meals, Marcus making funny faces at the camera. I posted them on Instagram and Facebook without thinking much about it. When we got back to Seattle, my phone started ringing. It was my mother, Helena. Is it true you're dating that man from the wedding? She asked without saying hello. Yes, it's true. How much does he make? I felt my jaw tighten. That's not an appropriate question. I'm your mother. I have a right to know if you're dating someone financially stable. He's doing fine. That's all you need to know. There was a pause. Then she said, your father and I would like to have you both over for dinner. Next Sunday. She hung up without saying goodbye. I told Marcus about the invitation. He listened then smiled. Let's go. Are you sure? They're going to interrogate you. I can handle it. It might be interesting. 2 weeks later, we drove to my parents' house. It was a large house in a nice neighborhood. My mother had always been proud of it. Isabel and Julian were already there when we arrived. My mother had set the dining room table with her good china. Dinner started normally enough. My mother served roast chicken and vegetables. Then the questions began. So Marcus, my father Richard said, what kind of car do you drive? A sedan, Marcus said. Nothing fancy. Do you own a house? I do. How much is it worth? Marcus smiled. It's comfortable. My mother jumped in. Alara mentioned your financial director. That must pay well. It pays adequately. How much exactly? I wanted to sink through the floor. Marcus just laughed it off and changed the subject. Halfway through dinner, Marcus suddenly put down his fork. I need to confess something. Everyone stopped eating. Under the table, Marcus's hand found mine and squeezed. I knew something was coming. He'd warned me in the car. I haven't been completely honest with everyone, Marcus said. I'm not actually the CFO of the pharmaceutical company. Silence fell over the table. My mother's face went pale then red. What? She said. I'm not the financial director. I apologize for the confusion. My father stood up. You lied to us. My mother turned on me. You brought a liar into our home. You found yourself a boyfriend with no money, no prospects, no future. Isabel looked triumphant. I knew you'd be a loser your whole life, Alara. My father pointed at the door. Get out, both of you. Now. We left. As soon as we got in the car, we both burst out laughing. We sat in the car laughing until tears ran down our faces. My stomach hurt from laughing so hard. I wiped my eyes. Okay, I need to know. What was that about? Why did you tell them you weren't the CFO? Alara, because I'm not the CFO. I'm the owner of the company. I founded it 8 years ago. I just introduced myself as the financial director because it avoids situations exactly like what happened in there. I stared at him. You're the owner? Yes, I told you the truth at the wedding when I handed your mother my card. It says financial director because that's technically one of my roles, but I own the company. You let them kick us out knowing they were wrong about you. I wanted you to see what they really care about. It's not about who I am as a person. It's about money and status and appearances. Now you know for sure. He was right. My family had shown their true colors. They didn't care about whether Marcus was kind or smart or treated me well. They only cared about his bank account. A couple of hours later, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my mother. You need to leave that man immediately. He has no prospects. Find someone better. I showed the message to Marcus. He just shook his head. I didn't respond to her. A week later, Marcus took me to dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. After dessert, he reached across the table and took my hand. Alara, I know this is fast. We've only been together a few months, but I'm sure about you. Will you marry me? I looked at him. This man who pretended to be my boyfriend to save me at my sister's wedding, who turned that pretense into something real, who just shown me exactly what my family was made of. Yes, I said. He pulled out a ring. It was beautiful, simple, and elegant. He slipped it onto my finger and we sat there grinning at each other like idiots. We started planning immediately. Marcus had a property outside the city, an estate he bought 2 years ago. He suggested we have the wedding there. When he showed me the place, I understood why. It was gorgeous. Rolling lawns, gardens, a huge house with columns and terraces. I sent wedding invitations to my parents and Isabel, even though I knew what would happen. I didn't expect them to come, but I wanted to give them the chance. My mother replied with a text message, "We will not be attending." I showed it to Marcus. He put his arm around me. Their loss. I didn't cry about it. I'd expected it. I invited my friends from the studio, some cousins I actually liked, my grandmother who'd always been kind to me. Marcus invited his family and friends. We planned a small ceremony, maybe 50 people total. The wedding day arrived. It was a perfect September afternoon, warm and sunny. Marcus's estate looked incredible. We'd set up chairs on the lawn facing a flower-covered arch, white tints for the reception, a string quartet playing classical music. I wore a dress I'd made myself. It had taken me 2 months to create. Every stitch perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. My family didn't show up. I hadn't expected them to, but I'd still hoped maybe they'd surprise me. They didn't, but everyone else did. Marcus's parents were there, warm and welcoming. His brothers and their families. My grandmother who cried happy tears when she saw me. My friends from work, some distant cousins. Eleanor from Julian's company showed up, which surprised me. She said she'd been following my Instagram and wanted to support me. The ceremony was short and sweet. We said our vows, exchanged rings, kissed while everyone cheered. Then we moved to the reception tent for dinner and dancing. One of my cousins posted photos on social media. Pictures of the estate, of the ceremony, of Marcus and me cutting the cake. The house was visible in the background of several shots, impressive and undeniable. The next morning my phone rang. It was my mother, Helena. "You deceived us," she said without any greeting. Julian did some research. He found out Marcus owns that pharmaceutical company. He's not just a financial director. He's wealthy. And you lied to us about it. I didn't lie about anything. You let us think he was poor. You let us kick you out. You kicked us out because you thought he was poor. That says everything about you, not about us. Isabel's husband found out Marcus has an estate worth millions. You got married there and you didn't invite us. I sent you an invitation. You said you wouldn't come because we thought. You thought he had no money, so you weren't interested. Now you know he does. And suddenly you care. Do you hear yourself? My mother's voice got louder. We're your family. You've never treated me like family. You seated me behind a column at Isabel's wedding. You forgot to mention me in your speech. You've criticized my career for years, even though I'm successful at it. You only called when you saw I was dating someone you thought was rich. You showed me who you are, Mom. I'm finally believing you. You can't just cut us out. Watch me. I hung up. Then I blocked her number. I blocked my father's number. I blocked Isabel's number. I blocked them on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere I could think of. Marcus came into the room. Your family. Yeah. They found out you're actually wealthy, and now they're upset we didn't tell them. Are you okay? I'm better than okay. I'm free. He hugged me and I realized it was true. I was free from their judgment, their criticism, their conditional love. I had a husband who valued me, a career I loved, and a life I'd built on my own terms. I moved into Marcus's estate after the wedding. Our estate. I had to keep reminding myself. It was huge compared to my old apartment. I had my own workspace set up in one of the rooms on the first floor. Natural light. Plenty of storage for fabric and supplies. Everything I needed. A month after the wedding, Marcus came home from work and found me sketching designs at my work table. "What are you working on?" he asked. "Just some ideas. Eleanor asked me to make her a dress for a gala next month. How's that going?" "Good. Actually, I've been thinking. I've had 3 more requests from people at the wedding, friends of your family, business associates. They all want custom pieces." "That's great. I was thinking maybe it's time to open my own place. Not just working out of the studio downtown, but my own atelier. Something upscale where I can focus on custom work, wedding dresses, evening gowns." Marcus smiled. Do it. It'll be expensive to start up. We can afford it. If this is what you want, let's make it happen. I spent the next 2 months looking for the right location. I found a space in a nice part of downtown. Big windows, good foot traffic, close to other boutiques. Marcus helped me with the business plan, the financing, all the practical details I'd never handled before. We opened Alara's atelier in January. I hired 2 assistants, set up a beautiful showroom with a fitting area, and started taking appointments. Word spread quickly. Eleanor told her friends. Marcus's family recommended me. I got featured in a local magazine about up-and-coming designers. The work was different from what I'd done before. Higher-end clients, bigger budgets, more creative freedom. I made wedding dresses that cost thousands of dollars, evening gowns for charity galas, custom suits for businesswomen. Every piece was exactly what the client wanted, made perfectly to their specifications. I loved it. I was doing the same work I'd always done, but now people respected it. They valued my skill, my artistry, my vision, and I was making more money than I ever had working at the studio. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Work during the week, quiet weekends at the estate with Marcus, dinners with his family, who treated me like I'd always been part of them. His mother actually asked my advice on decorating. His brothers invited us to their kids' birthday parties. It was normal family stuff, the kind of thing I'd never really had. My grandmother visited sometimes. She was the only member of my family I'd stayed in contact with. She'd tell me about her garden, about her book club, about the gossip in her retirement community. She never brought up my parents or Isabel unless I asked. One day, about 6 months after the wedding, she mentioned them. Your mother called me last week. She said we were having tea in the sunroom. She wanted me to convince you to talk to her. She said this has gone on long enough. What did you tell her? I told her she made her choices and now she's living with them. Just like you're living with yours. I smiled. Thank you. She's my daughter, but that doesn't mean I think she's right. The way she treated you at that wedding was shameful. The thing she said to you. She made her priorities very clear. Are you happy, sweetheart? I really am, Grandma. Happier than I've been in years. Then that's all that matters. My family tried to contact me several times over the first year. My father sent emails that I deleted without reading. Isabel sent messages on social media before I blocked her there, too. My mother tried calling from different numbers, but I recognized her voice and hung up immediately. I wasn't interested in reconnecting. They'd shown me who they were, and I believed them. They valued money and status over relationships. They treated me like I was worthless because I didn't have the right kind of job, then suddenly wanted a relationship when they found out my husband was wealthy. That wasn't love. That was opportunism. One afternoon, I was working on a wedding dress at the atelier when Eleanor came in for her final fitting on the gala gown I'd made her. She tried it on and it fit perfectly. You're incredibly talented, she said, looking at herself in the mirror. Thank you. I still can't believe Isabel never mentioned she had a sister, especially one with skills like yours. Isabel and I were never close. Her lost Julian's too. They could have had you making custom pieces for them at family rates. I laughed. I think that ship has sailed. Good for you. Family isn't everything. Sometimes the family you choose is better than the one you're born into. She was right. I'd chosen Marcus. I'd chosen his family. I'd chosen my friends and my grandmother and the life I wanted to build. And those choices had made me happier than I'd ever been trying to earn my birth family's approval. 2 years after the wedding, I was established. The atelier was successful and growing. Marcus and I had talked about starting a family of our own. His parents were excited about the possibility of more grandchildren. His brothers joked about their kids needing cousins to play with. I still didn't talk to my parents or Isabel. They tried a few more times over the years, but I never responded. I built a life without them and it was a good life. A life where I was valued and respected and loved for who I was, not for what I could do for other people or how prestigious my job title was. Sometimes I wondered if I should feel bad about cutting them off completely. But I didn't. They'd cut me off emotionally long before I'd cut them off practically. I just made it official. I'd walked away from people who diminished me and found people who celebrated me. I built a business doing work I loved. I'd married someone who saw my worth from the very beginning. My mother had always said I was a disappointment. She'd been wrong. I wasn't a disappointment. I was successful, talented, and happy. I just wasn't those things in the way she'd wanted me to be. And I was completely okay with that.